Welcome into this Friday Rewind series. A special treat for you. ESPN Plus will be re-airing North Alabama's 25-24 win over Campbell on Senior Day, the regular season finale at Brawley Stadium. We'll get UNA head football coaches Chris Willis's thoughts on that ball game. And, Coach, let's back up to this game. Back several months ago, Campbell comes to town, a team we lost to last year on the road, a 25-24 win on Senior Day. It was the all-decade reunion as well. Over 70 former players were there, the home finale. I mean, just how sweet of a win was that?
Yeah, I go back and I start thinking about that day, and I remember those 70 former players being there and being able to hang out and visit with them before the game. And, you know, everybody knows the tradition we have at North Alabama, especially when it comes to the football program. And just seeing all those players and, you know, being Senior Day, seeing the families of the seniors. And it was just everything kind of lined up like we needed it to that day. We had Kennesaw State the week before, really good football team, and we had dropped some very close football games, and we needed that win. It was the last home game of the season. And sometimes wins against teams that, you know, we weren't on paper, we're not supposed to win that football game, or, you know, whoever the experts are had us not winning that game. And, you know, just to be able to win a game like that and to come away in the fashion that we did win the game, and it carries you kind of over into the next games to come as well as the off season. So that was huge to find a way to win that game. I thought it was a good job by everybody. Nobody from coaches, trainers, managers, players, everybody had a part in this, and all the way down to Joe's kick to win the football game.
Joe Gurley had the 20-yard game winner. It snapped a 3-game losing streak, Coach. 2 of those 3 wins, we were in position to win it as well. So to have this team not give up and keep fighting as the head coach, how rewarding was it to see that?
You know, that was one thing about this football team all year. In any game, you were at all the games being, you saw us play, and home, away, it didn't matter. We fought for 4 quarters. I mean, every football game we were in, maybe one I can think of that it seemed like it kind of got away from us and went a different direction. It got out of hand. But other than that, we were always in the game. You were going to get our best. And I thought that particular game, it was 4 quarters of just 2 teams giving it all. And we just had enough left in the tank there to find a way at the end. Great drive by the offense to get us in position for Joe's kick.
Andre Little, Coach, was a player that had just an outstanding game as we look back at it. He had a kickoff return for touchdown. He finished with 6 catches for 118 yards, including a big grab on the final drive of the game. How much of a spark was Andre?
Listen, Andre has grown a lot over his time here at UNA, and a lot of that has to do with just, you know, maturing, and it goes back to being in the weight room, applying himself into the playbook and what it takes to become a college athlete. And he had a really good season for us. And moving him back to kick returner, he'd always kind of been back there. But at this point in time, I don't know going into that game when we made that change, but we made it to where he was able to get the ball more and put him in position. And not just that game. I know he scored a touchdown that game, but he had other games. He put us in great field position throughout the game to give us opportunities and shorten the field for our offense. But Andre and that whole receiving core played fantastic, and they're all back for another year. It's going to be exciting.
You look at the defensive side of the football, and it felt like so many different guys stepped up, from Devontae Tolles and his sack, a fumble recovery. Wallace Cowens was just as unstoppable as Wallace has been. DeAndre Hart, a big 4th down stop as well. I mean, how much of a team effort was it defensively?
Well, you know, defensively, it's kind of that bend, don't break mentality throughout the season. And really in that game itself, if I remember correctly, Campbell had ran the football really well in that game, I think by a committee of running backs. And we had trouble stopping the run throughout the game. But I don't think we ever allowed them to break a really long run. I think it was just, 5, 6, 7-yard runs, which are long, but we were able to contain it. At some point, we just kept fighting to put them in a 3rd down situation to force them to throw the football. And our strength this past year defensively was probably defending the pass and able to use our speed up front to get to the quarterback to make him throw a quicker pass or throw on the run. And so in that game, I remember we were able to put them in some 3rd down situations late in the game that gave us an opportunity. And, defensively coming up with some turnovers is always huge. And some of those guys you mentioned, Tolles and Wallace and Broderick Martin, all the D-line in itself, they had a good year for us. And it carried over into that game, and it was a good battle between their O-line and our D-line. It was a good challenge.
Let's talk about the hero of the game, who we'll hear from right after this. Joe Gurley, 20-yard game winner, Coach. How big of a kick was that?
Listen, I'm so proud of Joe. Joe got here as a true freshman from Brooks, and he's played every year. He's been on the field. He's never redshirted. And he took over from being just a punter. He also took over the kicking duty. So that's a lot sometimes to go from just being the punter. Then you got to do all the kicking duties. And we've got two young guys coming behind him that's going to have fantastic careers here. They just wasn't ready at that time. We're still trying to develop those guys. Moving forward this year, we're going to see how things go. But Joe, once again, local guy and Joe puts in his time. He puts in his work for this. And I know Joe has laid around before and had dreams about game-winning kicks. And we got him in position. And Joe, he put it up and put it through. And we handed it just like you would see, kind of like, in a movie. He makes the kick and the time runs off the clock. And it was just, for the defense to play like they did throughout the game, and then the offense to put us in position to win, it had to be capped off with the special teams. And so I couldn't be more proud of Joe.
Coach, it was a great day in Brawley Stadium. Fans can rewatch it on ESPN+. Thank you for taking the time to reminisce with us.
Thank you, Ben, and I hope you and your family are safe, and I hope everybody out there is following the guidelines, and we're going to get through these tough times, and I can't wait till we're back on the football field ready to go. Looking forward to this season.
This Rewind Friday, we're getting set to watch North Alabama and Campbell football game from the fall. UNA won at 25-24. Don't forget, you can catch the full game in its entirety on ESPN+. We're talking now with the hero of the game, Joe Gurley. And Joe, what do you remember from kicking that field goal? Just how good of a feeling was it kicking a game winner?
It was a great feeling. Obviously I couldn't do it without my teammates blocking for me. The snap by Austin Underwood and the hold was perfect from Peavy. So I just remember kicking it, and I saw the hold and snap, and it felt good off my foot, and I was like, surely it went in. And I looked up, and it happened to go in.
What was the celebration like afterwards, after it went through the uprights?
It was crazy. I remember first thing is I turned and I hugged Peavy, and then I was just swarmed by everybody. I couldn't see for a few seconds because everybody was hitting my helmet and telling me, good job and stuff like that. But there's definitely a lot of love from all my teammates.
Now, throughout your career, have you ever kicked a game winner like that before?
I kicked one in high school, my junior year, but not at UNA. No, sir.
So just to do it at the collegiate level, how did it compare?
It was, I guess, a bigger stage, being more fans and stuff like that, but about the same. In high school, I had great teammates. In college, I have great teammates. I love them all. It was just you dream of moments like that, so it was cool to finally have it come full circle.
All right, let's talk about the final drive. So UNA takes over, trailing. The offense is on the field. You as a kicker, you've got to be thinking, hey, I may get a shot right here. What's going through your mind? What are the things you're doing to kind of get ready for the moment?
Well, I spend most of my time over on the kicking net, so honestly, when they first got the ball, I was super nervous because in my head I was like, oh, man, it may come down to me. So I'm just over there practicing kicks, thinking about different scenarios in my head. Then as they got closer and closer and I knew, I'm going to have to kick the game-winning field goal, I wasn't nervous at all in my head. I was just like, well, I either make it or I don't. Better go do my job. And so I had people coming up to me, a few, and be like, you got this, man, you got this. And a few were kind of scared. They were like, oh, we may jinx them. But me personally, I don't like anybody talking to me. I just like to focus on what I'm doing, and I don't want to hear from anybody. But, everybody's got their own thing.
So to kick the game winner, you're named Big South Special Teams Player of the Week as well. I mean, just all of it encompassing what all you accomplished this past season, just your final thoughts from the play and the moment.
I was more happy to send the seniors out on a victory. Like I said, I love all my teammates and everybody, and I've been with those seniors for a while. So that was the biggest thing for me, is sending them out on a win.
Joe, thanks for reminiscing with us today.
Thanks for having me.